follow us. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Kimball.
Oh, that's the last comment I wanted to see is same old Lions. I'm tired of that bullshit. Uh, James Burgess says we're still rebuilding. 27 months ago, we were consensus worst team, roster, franchise in the league. This game is why we didn't go ape shit at the trade deadline. Brad isn't done yet. That said, failure. Yes, this game was another failure. From the offense to the defense, special teams, we made a lot of blunders. Braylon Dennis, you could say Brad has failed to address the defensive line. The cap wasn't set. We had 6.7 million at the trade deadline, but we had dead cap that hadn't hit yet. It didn't hit till the week after. We only have 3.4 million. We couldn't afford anybody. There's guys out there that we could afford right now if they just wanted to throw them a little money to get through the end of the season. There's a linebacker that we could get that's a former All-Pro, Shaq Leonard. There's a defensive end that the Eagles just caught, Derek Barnett. Why'd they cut him? They're going to make room for Shaq Leonard. Watch. We couldn't afford to do anything at the trade deadline unless you restructured guys we can't afford. I warned everybody this. And you guys still say no excuses. This is on Brad Holmes. No, this is on AG and an utter failure to blitz.
I'm having major sound issues here.
Oh, yeah. I got to mute that background stuff because it'll get me copyright infringement. Yeah, Shaq Leonard is Darius Leonard. He changed his name to Shaquille Leonard legally, but his mother named him Darius, so that's what I call him. And I said Derek Barnett has been waived. I'm gonna have to mute you, Eric, till you get that fixed. This is on that shit football team that blows goats. You know, every time we lose, you go ape shit there, Donkey Kong, because you think we were going to go undefeated. We weren't. I've told everybody this. Hell, I think we should have lost in LA, but we didn't. All right, and joining us, we have Cameron.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I had to adjust my headset or my sound to come through my headphones instead of my PC.
Right.
Oh.
Yep, Chiefs lost to the Broncos. Teams lose games. Shit happens. You know, it was a shit scheme all the way around yesterday. I don't know what went wrong, other than the fact that we played 3 games in 10 days. The team looked absolutely gassed on both sides of the balls, and in my opinion, the O-line couldn't block anybody, and the D-line couldn't get pressure.
I love how one of the first comments in here is same old Lions, because I've been a Lions fan since 2016. I was born and raised a Packers fan, and I chose to be a Lions fan. I celebrated a Packers Super Bowl in 2011, and I chose to be a Lions fan, despite the stigma that comes with it.
Oh,
I'll put a couple of notes together for this.
Well, I'm going to say something that may blow some minds here. Last 3 games, we blitzed at a less than 10% rate.
hmm?
The
Oh,
last,
yeah.
The last 3 games, we blitz at a less than 10% rate. The 4 games that we won before the Ravens game, you know what the blitz rate was?
What's that?
Somewhere between 35 and 42.
So I've actually, I think the Ravens kind of rattled Aaron Glenn to the point where he changed his play style or his play calling. Because going into that game, we hadn't been blown out. We lost to the Seahawks in overtime. And it's like, okay, this play style is working. He turned around, got blown out by the Ravens. I don't remember what the score of that game was.
38-6.
Yeah, a lot to a little.
What's funny is we were 5 and 2 after that game.
Yeah, 5 and 2. And that's the thing is people are sitting here because a couple of the points I want to make is regarding our stat line from week 9 of last year. And I put a lot of stats together to current day. And so I want to make a point to somewhat defend Aaron Glenn and our defense, but I also want to make a point to defend Jared Goff because that man is getting a lot more hate than what he deserves.
And I understand it. It's
especially
overreaction.
this year. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rodney Fouch, your guess is as good as mine. But ever since the Ravens game, the only game we blitzed was Oakland Raiders.
Vegas Raiders?
Oakland. They're Oakland. That's where they're from.
Bum-ass Raiders.
Yeah, but we broke them so bad that game, blitzing at 71% of their drop back passes. 71% of the times that they drop back.
We sat Jimmy G. What week did we play Oakland?
It was the week before the bye, so that was week.
We played them week 8.
Yeah.
We sacked Jimmy Garoppolo six times for 49 yards lost and picked him off. We held them to 2.9 yards per pass and 4.4 yards per rush.
I know. That was amazing. But, hey, I'm going to give kudos where kudos is due. Think about it. If Jordan Love didn't make that 30-yard run, they only had 70 yards rushing against us.
Here's what I hate because everyone. First off, Dan Campbell needs to stay away from the punt fake. If you're going to go for it on 4th down, don't bother with the fake. The conversion rates on fakes are absolutely atrocious. However,
right. They're better off on straight up going for it than doing a fake. I absolutely agree.
Don't bother with the fake.
Unless it's like a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. In other words, less than a 3-yard gain, the fake punt doesn't work that often.
Can I edit my name on here? I want to put.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's yeah.
Yeah, I can't put.
You know what? I'm gonna put it on one thing, and our defensive coordinator has done this all 3 years. He's very inconsistent.
Yes.
He will blitz against bad QBs and bad teams, and go away from it against good teams.
So here's where I come in to defend Jared Goff because I'm so sick and tired of the hate on him. You can't convince me he's not playing injured. You cannot convince me that man is not hurt in some capacity right now.
I think they're all just gassed.
I do too. I think we came off the bye, had a really, really strong showing against the Chargers, who aren't a bad team. Despite having a negative record, they're not a bad team. And despite Green Bay's shortcomings early in the year, Green Bay is not a bad team either.
So Donkey Kong only has us winning 2 more games. He says a 10-7 finish. So we're going to lose 5 of the next 6 games.
We have New Orleans. We're getting a long break from the November 23rd all the way down to December 3rd. And then we have New Orleans.
And then we travel to Chicago. Then we come back home to the Broncos.
Yep.
Then we go away for 2 weeks, Minnesota and Dallas, right?
That's the stretch I'm concerned about. I think we're going to split with Minnesota, potentially.
Yep, and I don't think we win there. I think we're going to lose there, and we're going to have to win week 18 at home.
Yeah. I think we have the division under lock. Josh Dobbs isn't gelling as well anymore because Minnesota just played who and they lost.
But
Minnesota just played somebody and lost, and I'm trying to remember who it was. We're week 12? They just lost to week 11.
The Saints just lost to who was that? That isn't a good team.
The Vikings lost to the Broncos.
But the Broncos are actually an up and coming team. As far as the Vikings, I said it prior to the season. Brian Flores is a very good defensive minded coach who dials up blitz packages very well, and they are actually one of the most blitz heavy teams out there, next to the Packers. What the Packers don't do well is defend the run, which is why I hated the fact we went away from it for 2 straight quarters.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that they were on a backup running back, so they weren't running that well.
Right. Like I said, they had 72 yards by running backs and 32 by Jordan Love.
Zach, that 13-4 is a lot more realistic than 14-3 solely because
I think 12-5. I think we're going to lose 3 of these games over this stretch. I think we're going to split. But at 12-5,
if we get, I don't want to say healthy, but if we recover somewhat over the next 2 weeks, we can go into Chicago 100% because CJ Gardner-Johnson said he's looking at being back by the next Chicago game.
Right.
So if he comes back, that's going to be big help on the secondary. That's going to remove DJ Moore from the equation. On top of that, we're looking at a mid-December, so it could be anywhere from the 10th to the 24th or the 30th that we get James Houston back. What people haven't realized is, yes, we have generated pressure against some okay teams: Green Bay, Carolina, Tampa Bay.
Oh, that's funny. Eric Dalton says Eric Glenn thinks a blitz package is something you get when buying a Tesla.
That's messed up.
That's funny, but true.
But you look back from week 9, starting week 9, 2022, we had 30 sacks for a loss of 195 yards, averaging 6.5 yards per loss on sacks, and we had 9 interceptions. Currently, we are at 21 sacks. So we're not far off from where we were at the halfway point last year. 8 interceptions, and we got 4 fumbles. One of those interceptions was Brian Branch picking off Patrick Mahomes on a bad pass and going for
Actually, the pass was fine. It was a bad catch attempt by Kadarius Stonehands Drboni.
Yeah. So
I'm dead serious. It hit him in the hands. It was right here.
Yeah, it did. I saw it. The thing, and this is going to be a little off kilter, but I think after this year, if Travis Kelce retires, like he's talking about, Kansas City's going to have to spend a lot of money in the offseason. Otherwise, they are not going to recover.
And all the Kansas City fans have said for 2 years straight since Tyreek Hill left, oh, we'll get a number 1 wide receiver that'll want to play here for less money.
Yeah.
Guess what? They've been proven wrong.
Mm-hmm. Every single wide receiver that comes into, because one of my buddies shared a meme earlier that was like, hold on, let me see, because I have it on my Facebook. Because I got a kick out of it. It said from the Legion of Zoom to the Legion of Drops. Because they had one of the fastest and most reliable receiving cores in the league. To now, if you remove Travis Kelce from the equation, they don't have anything there. You remove Travis. That's what Denver did. Denver took Kelce out of the equation and absolutely dogged on Kansas City. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing Detroit's on fraud alert from Cowboys fans and Kansas City fans because we lost to Green Bay. Because we lost to Green Bay, Baltimore, and Seattle. Seattle, playoff contender. Baltimore, arguably the best team in the AFC right now. When you go in and you absolutely decimate 2 playoff contenders the way that Baltimore did with us and Seattle.
Oh yeah.
You're not sitting here and hurting our feelings in it. And then you bring up the fact that we lost to Green Bay, and this gives me the biggest chuckle when it comes to Kansas City fans and Dallas fans making the claim that we're on fraud alert. Dallas has lost to
The
two
Cardinals.
good teams, and then the Cardinals. They lost to two good teams, and then the Cardinals, because they lost to Philadelphia. Who else did they lose to? Because they're 8-3.
They lost to the 49ers 42-10.
Yeah, so they lost to the Eagles and the 49ers, two good teams, and then the Cardinals. Did you know that the Packers are the only sub 500 team that we lost to? Or no, I think.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
How close is Seattle to being under 500?
They are still 6-4.
Are they?
Well,
6-5 now.
6-5.
6-5.
So they're still over 500.
Yeah, and it took them overtime. Now keep in mind, in that game, C.J. Gardner-Johnson got hurt. He tore his pec in that game. I agree with that. 100%.
When did he tear his pec? Just before he shoved Zach Charbonnet down again to get that 15-yard penalty.
Yep. But
and say what you want. That penalty right there was the biggest boneheaded play of the game, because the very next play was a deep pass to DK Metcalf for a touchdown when we had a stop on third down.
Yeah. See, and I don't know if you saw it, but there was a clip of Kirby Joseph. I think it was either Kirby Joseph or Jay Jacobs got into it with Gardner Johnson on the sidelines this last week. I don't know what it was, either with them or it was either with CJ GJ or it was with Drakeline. Something got heated on the sidelines. I don't know if someone made a comment about blown coverage, because there was a lot of those this past week. Yeah.
I mean, Christian Watson blew right by Tracy Walker and Kirby to get on that first deep pass that set him up on the touchdown.
And here's the crazier thing is, because, we get people who are sitting here bashing our defense over and over and over again. You got to remember, Tracy Walker was signed up from the practice squad when Gardner Johnson got hurt. We didn't have Bugs. We don't have Houston. We don't have Broderick.
But we had Houston in that play. And now against Seattle.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Houston was dropped back in coverage, and Campbell was moved up to play edge where James Houston normally plays.
Yeah. So
and literally Noah Fant broke Houston's ankles.
Yeah. So here's my thing, because people have pointed out how atrocious our defensive line is. When you have James Houston, who was such a big playmaker, and you have Bugs, who is he's captain level material. He's a good player. He's a good leader. When you have both of them out, and those two are Hutch's biggest help, so then teams can just easily double team Hutch. Because notice last year, once we started playing Hutch and Houston across from each other,
and James Kaminsky, because we actually put them at the DNs, and we also moved Hutch off of the suggestion of Todd Wash to outside linebacker at that time, playing in the Sam position.
And you notice when we have those players in, Hutch is generating pressure. Hutch isn't getting double teamed as much because you have a threat on either end. That's why Brad Holmes isn't. I think that's why Brad Holmes wasn't stressed at the trade deadline. I think that's why he wasn't pressing so hard for those trades, because at the trade deadline. What week was the trade deadline? Week 8.
Week 8.
Right? So at week 8, we're 6-2. We're sitting comfortably atop the NFC North. We go on 2 more games. We climb to 8-2. Still comfortably atop the NFC North. We drop 1 to Green Bay. Oh well, we're 8-3. We're still the number 3 seed in the NFL. We're still holding our own. So, and then by mid-December, which is 2-3 weeks away, we're supposed to get James Houston back. CJ Gardner-Johnson is looking at trying to come back by December 10th. That leaves us 1, 2, 3, 4 more games, roughly, that we get some of our biggest playmakers back. We're already comfortably atop the North. Chicago's about to be eliminated from playoff contention. Going into week 12, and what's their record now? Like 4-23 at this point. The Bears are just atrocious, and I hate to say it. I bully. Yeah, they're 3-8 right now. they're on the cusp of playoff elimination, as are the Cardinals, and who else? The Panthers. Panthers are probably going to be the first ones to get eliminated from playoffs. Oh,
So I have something interesting because it was very hard for me to find. Broderick Martin's community college stats for his freshman and sophomore years. Are you interested at all?
absolutely.
Okay, he played 4 games his freshman year where he split time on 44 snaps between defensive end and defensive tackle in a 4-3 defense.
Okay.
So he in those 44 snaps, he had 28 tackles, 12 for loss, and 4 sacks.
Okay.
So his sophomore year, he played in all 12 games because they made their playoffs in the community college realm. 72 tackles, 14 for loss, and another 6 sacks, all with at DT with 220 snaps. 6 sacks in a season for a defensive tackle is very good no matter what level of competition you're at.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
So he goes to Western Kentucky his junior year. And in those 2 seasons, he had 131 tackles, 22 for loss, and another 6 sacks. And add in another 60 assisted tackles at Western Kentucky as a nose tackle, a position he had never played his entire high school and college career at that point. Because it was a 3-4 defense. So 6 sacks in a year and a half at Western Kentucky and 10 sacks in a 4-3 defense, splitting 1 year between D end and D tackle.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of sacks for a big kid.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, and this is like people need to stop harping on Glenn so much. They need to stop harping. Hold on, hear me out. And because there's a reason, there's somewhere I'm going with this. We have, outside of Minnesota and Dallas, the next 3 games are going to be the easiest 3 games of our final stretch, of our final 6. Look at how we started this year. We're currently sitting at 8-3. Once the team is 100%, TJ comes back, Houston comes back, Broderick comes back. We get those players back in their key roles, and we're healthy. We started last year 1-6, and we just missed the playoffs because of the Carolina game, which I can understand why that one was a flop. But then
in the
also
Thanksgiving Day game.
Yeah. And then the refs assisting Seattle against LA. But you look, and we went into Lambeau, week 18, already knowing we were eliminated from playoff contention. Hit Green Bay right in the mouth. We come out swinging this year, beat the defending Super Bowl champs. We lost to Seattle in overtime. Seattle has had our number the last 4 matchups. So the 2 times that we've played them in the Dan Campbell era, and the 2 times that we played them in the Quintricia era, which that was
awful.
Don't remind me. That I still have nightmares about that. I hate the fact that he got rid of Slay and Quandre.
You're allowed to call it what I call it, the Quintrasha era, because it was Matt Patricia and Boob Quinn.
Yeah. And it's crazy because they traded Quandre Diggs away, and Quandre Diggs is what brought my attention to the Detroit Lions. So I'm from Texas. So Texas Longhorns fan through and through. When I was going through school is when Quandre was in college. So watching him on the weekends and stuff, that kind of motivated me. So when he got drafted, we're not going 10-7. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We are not going 10-7. I don't see it. You have us winning 2 games. New Orleans, they're not
good.
They're not that great. Chicago, not that great. They had a 12-point lead on us with 3 minutes left and managed to let us put up 17 on them. Denver, they're all right. They're slowly coming together. Jerry Jeudy is still a Jag. He's just a guy. I know some people might get that reference. He got dragged hard on a pre-game interview. Minnesota, even if we split. So I have us beating New Orleans. I have us beating Chicago. I have us beating Denver. And I have us splitting with Minnesota. So even with that, we're going to go 4-2 over the last 6 games. That's going to put us at 12 and 5?
Yeah, I had us at 12-5. I'm just reading the chat and giggling while you're talking. But I'm gonna
One of my
go.
buddies wants to know what the link is for the live.
What's his name?
I have him on Facebook. I don't know where
Okay.
to.
Well, if you use the little share feature next to the link in the messenger, you can send
Okay.
it to him. He can join. What's his name?
His name is Alex. I just sent it to the group chat.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. He's actually another. I'm surprised by how many Lions fans there are.
Oh,
in,
well,
the text there.
here's where I'm going to stand on it. I want to talk about the hot players that I had, and all four the 4 hot players I had are all offensive. Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you disagree with that?
No, I had a different 4. I agree with the Gibbs. So you had St. Laporta, you said J-Mo and Gibbs?
No, Montgomery and Gibbs.
Montgomery Gibbs? Okay.
I had J-Mo as an honorable mention, just in case if anybody asks, because he did do well on the 2 catches he could make.
Mm-hmm. So I had 4. I had St. Brown and Laporta. Laporta is an absolute stud, which coming out of Iowa, we kind of already knew that. He was one of my first picks in fantasy this year.
Hello, Alex.
Come on. Hey, it's Alex.
What's up?
What's up?
Not much.
So,
I was just giving my list of my hot players for the game, and I'm letting Cameron do his, and then I'll let you do yours.
Oh no, that's okay. I just popped in to come and listen and check it out. I heard one of my good buddies is on, and I just wanted to hear what he had to say. I didn't know I was going to be on, to be honest.
Oh yeah, this is the link to come on. I invite Lions fans of anywhere, anytime.
Dallas, Texas.
This is my Lions fan cave chat. Is what it is. But when we have a game on Thursday, it becomes the post game show.
Nice.
So we go over some key stats. We go over hot players, cold players, and the swinging point of the game type stuff.
Nice.
So my 4 hot players that I had were St. Brown and Laporta, J-Mo, because he's truly coming into it now in Detroit. He's becoming more reliable. He's showing himself as a good edge blocker, everything like that. And he's showing that he can be a reliable receiver. The 4th one I had, while he didn't necessarily make that much of an impact, still showed some promise, given this is the first season and first year that I've seen him ever play offense, but Rodrigo.
Oh, okay.
Dude came in fullback. He's done stellar on sweeps and everything like that, but then his reception as well. For you to transition from the defensive side of the ball as a linebacker, come in, learn an entirely new position, learn the routes, and everything like that. There's no way you can't put Rodrigo.
You want to know something? You want to know something crazy about Rodrigo?
What's that?
His senior year, they were decimated at his high school there in Wayland, Oklahoma, and he actually played quarterback, safety, and punter.
Mm-hmm.
He rushed for 1,800 yards. He threw for 19 yards, was responsible for 52 touchdowns that season, and had an average punt of 42 yards.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
And
also led his teams as the safety and tackles.
Yeah. I agree with Donkey Kong. I'm tired of seeing the J-Mo hate.
Oh, there's no J-Mo hate here. No J-Mo hate.
He's not had a full, complete season. He showed promise last year. Came in this year after his suspension got reduced. Struggled coming off the suspension, but now he's stepping up. He's stepping into that.
I'm still giving credit to Brock Wright during the Raiders game during the end around when he said "Ole" and let Max Crosby hit J-Mo so hard that it literally knocked his head right out of his ass. He hasn't had a drop since.
Mm-hmm. That and sometimes that's what you need. You need that one good hit. Which, granted, it's usually the veteran hitting the rookie, and then you look at Brian Branch in the preseason game against New York, and he put Cole Beasley on his head. I'm over the moon with Brian Branch. I want to see him produce so much more, and I know he can.
And this is where I'm out on AG, and I'm going to explain why I am, and then you can get into why you like him. Okay?
All right.
You got these 5 games that are very glaring where we don't blitz enough.
Yes.
And it's against good QBs and good teams. Now,
Yes.
granted, Herbert only averaged 2.7 seconds before he released the ball. I still think we should have had some pressure getting through and blitzing, because if you get one guy through and under that 2.7 seconds, he doesn't look as poised and he can't complete the passes as well, because he does crumble under pressure, as we have seen from the other good teams that have played him. Lamar Jackson, it's hard with a guy that talented with his feet.
That dude was 16-1 against NFC teams.
I know. I was like, I'm not even mad. We tried to contain him. And here's another thing I've noticed about Hutch. Like I said, when they moved him to outside midway last year and started playing him more at linebacker than up there on the line, his spin move was more effective because he was up against tight ends and running backs and spinning to the inside to get to a quarterback, where he's doing less than a 180 spin. Mm-hmm. When he spins around the outside, he's actually doing like almost a 3/4 to a full spin. So he's actually going 280 to 360 spin. And it looks like he gets dizzy and lost.
Yeah.
Watch it. And plus, he's also going up against tackles who outweigh him by 30 to 60 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting manhandled more. And then he has to run into a chipping tight end or a chipping running back, or there's a guard pulling in that direction.
That's the thing that kills him, is the double team. And then I especially saw it yesterday because I was watching for it, but there was a lot of holding on him specifically that just isn't called.
And James Burgess called it exactly how I see it. AG is not using the guys into a scheme. He's going scheme, then the guys. And I'll rewrite it if I have to. He doesn't have to, because I've said the same thing. Campbell has been used more on edge and outside linebacker. When coming out, if you read all of his scouting profiles, he's one of the best off-ball linebackers skill-wise since Patrick Willis. And I'll repeat that again.
I believe his scout grade, there was only one linebacker since they started doing that specific grading system. There was only one linebacker who had the scout grade that Jack Campbell did.
Yeah, that was Brian Urlacher.
Oh, I was talking Luke Kuechly.
No, that's right, because Brian Urlacher was before the Ken Plot RAS, right?
Yep.
Before the Math Bomb did that. You know who's crazy talented that we just elevated because somebody was going to poach him off our practice squad as an outside linebacker, and we keep making him an inactive that I want to see? Trevor Nowoski out of Saginaw Valley State University.
I saw that. I haven't seen his highlights yet.
I actually watched him play at Saginaw Valley State because I used to live in Bay City, which is just down the road from it.
Yeah.
And that kid was amazing. He was a true sideline-to-sideline defender. He was very good at hitting the ball in the air. And when he hit it in the air, he has a great way of tracking it. That's how he ended up with his 4 interceptions his senior year. Yeah. He also runs a 4.5 40. His 10-yard split is a 1.79. The only linebacker that plays outside linebacker and DN that had a better 10-yard split than that. Do you want to know what his name is? Micah Parsons.
Yeah. Oh. The thing that kills me with Eric Glenn is,
it's using guys not where they're good at. That's where I have a problem with them.
I appreciate what they did with Aiden Hutchinson, where they went from having him in that 3-point stance to letting him stand up, because he even said when he stands up versus the 3-point stance, he can see so much better. He can see what's going on. He can see around him, everything like that. So I appreciate them letting Hutch do that. The issue that we have, and again, I'm sticking with my theory on what's going on with why he wasn't pursuant for another defensive end, because Crosby was up for on the block and everything like that. At the end of the trade deadline, week 8, is because we had the commanding lead that we did in the NFC North, which Minnesota's trying to creep up on that, but I don't see Minnesota taking that from us. Because let's see, who does Minnesota have left? Minnesota's not taking that from us. They've got the Bears, Raiders, Bengals. That's 3 games they could potentially win. Us twice and Green Bay. I see Green Bay getting back at Minnesota now because Green Bay is on the come up. The Raiders probably not gonna beat Minnesota. Bears might. If the Bears can pull their head out of their ass, the Bears are definitely gonna beat Minnesota. Oh, like I said, I see them splitting us. The Bengals are a more likely win for them solely because Joe Burrow's out for the season.
Eric Dalton says, tell AG he won a free vacation and buy him a one-way ticket to Des Moines and he will help him pack.
So Minnesota right now is the only team that poses a threat to us in the NFC.
And they're 2.5 games back.
Yes.
And they'll be at 2 games back if they win this weekend because it's the Bears, right?
Yes.
Because that's an in-division rival. That's why we have the half game up on them, right?
Yes, because we beat the Bears. We've split with Green Bay now. We beat the Bears. So we're 2-1 in division. So they would have, if we sweep Chicago and we beat them once, they would have to beat out the rest of the NFC North. So they would have to beat the Bears once.
And they'd have to beat the Packers again, too.
Yes, they'd have to beat the Bears again. And
they'd have to beat the Bears, beat the Packers, and sweep us, basically.
Yes, to get that back. The hardest part of their schedule was in that front half. I'm talking Tampa, even though Tampa's not all that great. You got the Eagles.
Didn't Tampa beat them?
Tampa beat them. The Eagles beat them. Chiefs beat them. Chargers beat them. They beat the 49ers during that period when
the left tackle was out.
When
Tristan Williams, Debo, and McCaffrey. It was Tristan Williams, Debo, and McCaffrey.
However,
all 3 went down at the same game.
After the result of their last game against Denver, I'm thinking people are figuring out Josh Dobbs. I think he's getting figured out in Minnesota. While he may be learning that Minnesota system still, the defense is learning to pick him apart. That being said, Minnesota is not that great. Or not Minnesota. Denver is not that great. They have beat
God, Eric, that's so mean. I love it. Tell me Dobbs doesn't look like who Netflix would pick as the lead actor in the remake of Powder.
So the Broncos. Here's another reason I'm not worried about the Broncos. The Broncos came back and eliminated what was a 28-14, a 14-point deficit to win by 3 over the Bears in the fourth quarter. They lost. The Broncos lost to the Jets. The Jets are not a good team at all. They got stomped today. Absolutely destroyed by Miami.
While the Jets have a great defense, what they don't have is what Miami has on offense, and that's speed.
Mm-hmm. So
speed for days. So if you got speed and your offense is very pass heavy, like theirs is, isn't Devin Ashade play today too, right?
I think he's injured again.
Did he get injured again? I thought he just got off an injury last week.
He got hurt. No, he got hurt last week. He got off injury last week, came in, and got injured again. I don't know if he... Hold on.
Wow.
I'm checking.
Best under-radar result of Turkey Day. We might make the Pack think they don't need a better QB. Sun Tzu. Deception is mastery.
Yeah. Oh. I didn't see us sweeping the entire NFC North. I really didn't.
I wanted to, but I didn't see it.
That was a tall order, even for us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did go 5-1 last year, so I had hope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, same. Especially given the fact that we swept Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay last year. That was what I think got a lot of people up. And I will say this, that I'm happy to see all of these bandwagon fans jumping off. Quit bullying them. They're trying, okay?
Hey, they do have a good defense.
They do. So I mean, there's a reason.
Prior to the games being played this week, I think they had the number 2 or 3 defense. We actually had the 9th defense overall in yardage, but 22nd in scoring, and I can back that up.
So, see, he's got
22nd in scoring. We had been giving up 318.8 yards per game, which is 11th. Points per play was 0.392, which is 26th in the league. 5.3 yards per play, which is 21st. The opponent's third down conversion is at 36.22, which is 11th best in the league. The fourth down conversion rate's concerning. We're seeing how it's almost 60%, and that's 21st. The red zone scoring at almost 69% and 30th in the league. And opponent's touchdowns per game, which is 2.7, which is 24th in the league.
Yeah. So,
but this is where I'm out on AG. Passing yards per game, while it's way low, it's skewed. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at the good teams we played, and I'm going to say this now, we got very lucky that the Kansas City wide receivers picked that day to not be able to catch a cold in Wuhan, China.
Valid.
Because there was 7 drops, and 2 of them were for touchdowns. One was to Noah Gray, one was to Kadarius Stonehands Traboni. And let's look at it this way. Brian Branch, yes, he was in perfect position for where that ball bounced. There's a key there. That ball doesn't bounce there, he doesn't get that pick 6.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
So I'd like to chime in if you don't mind.
Sure.
And I don't know if y'all have talked about this already, but we lost to Green Bay. But did we lose to Green Bay? Without the fumbles, I don't think we would have lost.
Well, the one, even when they showed the replay, I was like, oh my God, that's a pass. Yeah. That should be an incomplete pass.
I thought the same thing.
Because when he was doing this, that hand hit here, and then it went down to the ground. And there was a receiver right behind the guy that scooped and scored. Yeah. I was like, man, that should be coming back. We should be getting it right there. It was an incomplete pass, no big deal. When they held it up, I was livid.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point of the game.
Yeah. Curious to what others think, but I don't think we should have lost that game. I felt like we should have kicked the field goal, got the 3 points towards the end, instead of going it on 4th down. And I don't know if y'all talked about that yet, but towards the end, if we would have kicked the field goal, all right, and then from there we would have probably played the remainder of the 4th quarter, scored.
He brought it up, the 2 fake punts.
Right.
If we'd actually punted and played positional football, we don't lose that game.
Or instead of faking the punt and just going with
That's what I'm talking about, the 2 fake punts.
Instead, yeah. That's what bugged me. It's one of those things. It's situational. Which
Stevie Wonder threw his iPad on that call about the golf throwing it.
So I had my 4 cold players pulled up as well. They're used to producing.
But I'm just saying that play right there lost the game.
Oh yeah.
Because as soon as they got down by 2 scores, it became a different momentum shift mentally for the whole team. They were playing catch up. They started going away from the run. They started trying to throw all the time. The O-line couldn't block anything. I mean, our O-line looked like it had more holes than Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
They got 16 pressures on us in that game. That was almost a Thanksgiving Day record. And Jordan Love gets to join Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as the only 3 quarterbacks to throw 3 touchdowns on Thanksgiving Day. How disgusting is that?
Detroit.
And all 3 of them were against Detroit. You're right.
So I'm going to jump on the cold player list because I got my 4 here.
Oh, I got 5, but you go ahead. Give yours.
Oh, no. So, Goff. Dude was exceptional with protecting the ball for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. And like I said, you can't convince me that he isn't injured or battling some sort of illness or something that he's not disclosing to us. You go, was it like 9, 10, 11 weeks? No interceptions, no fumbles. Yeah, okay, now you're starting to throw one here or there. That's fine. You get 2 weeks, 6 to 7 turnovers in the span of 2 weeks.
3 interceptions, 3 fumbles in 2 weeks. That's
Yeah.
6 by him alone.
Yeah, and that's not characteristic of him since he's been in Detroit since we've learned to get him to protect the ball, get that going, everything.
And look at that. David Montgomery comes in and says, "I'm still pissed off," and you should be.
I've said it from day one, and I may have a lot of people hate me for this, but I don't think Goff is our guy.
I disagree with you.
I know I talk about this a lot. I think he's overhyped, kind of like the Dak Prescott, here in Dallas. That's all I hear is he's taking us forward. But then, as soon as Troy Aikman gets a hold of him, right, he does 3 good plays, and he's the best quarterback you've ever seen, And then the next week, you get Troy Aikman on him, and the same thing, he starts messing up. I don't think he's the guy that's going to take us into the future. I think Goff is in that same pattern. I think he's good for now. He might get us where we need to go, but he's not the future. And I don't know. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for that.
I may lose subscribers, but guess what? I'm going to go into detail on this because there's something that was said by Dan Campbell when they called Hendon Hooker when they picked him that was very specific. Hey, Hendon, this is Coach Campbell. This year is all about learning as much as you can from Jared, absorbing the playbook. It's a redshirt year for you. Be ready to go next season. That's a very disturbing statement if you think Goff is the guy.
I have a question. Is this actually Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery?
No.
I
wish.
I
wish.
Yeah,
I wish.
You and me both.
That's okay. It's a burner account that comes in. He changes the pictures and everything and says whatever he wants. He'll come in and say Mike Valenti and say, "Look, I told you, same old Lions." But anyways, go ahead. Who's the rest of your cold players?
Aiden Hutchinson. He's not producing. He's one of the top. I want to say he's one of the top 5 pressures in the league. But as long as we don't have that assistance opposite of the D line from him, he's going to keep getting double teamed. He's going to keep getting held. He's not going to have that production that he had last year.
Bro, that's David Pike. David Pike would never say Goff sucks. I swear to God. I think that man has a picture of Jared Goff above his bed just to be able to get it up for his wife.
I might have a picture of Jared Goff above my bed, but we're not going to talk about that. I got my St. Brown jersey somewhere. I think it's in my bedroom.
Oh, you got Malibu Ken dressed up as Jared Goff, don't you?
I do. I'm sorry.
I know.
We're supposed to tell me. I think Goff. I think Goff might be our franchise QB for the next couple of years, solely because. Hear me out.
He'll be signed, but he's not. He's not the future. We need a running quarterback. I hate to be that way. We need a strong running quarterback that when we're on 3rd and 5, we know we're going to pick up that 5 yards.
So my thing with Goff is he's shown some inconsistencies with his ball protection and everything like that.
Actually, Braylon Dennis, I'm going to say something. Getting rid of Goff would be a same old Lions move. No, signing Goff to a massive fucking contract that eats the cap is a same old Lions move, because that's what we did with Matthew Stafford. That's what we did with Calvin Johnson, and they strapped our cap until the year that Stafford was traded.
So let me ask you this then. Let's say Goff wants 3 sons. All right, Goff doesn't chase a bag. He pulls a Tom Brady. He takes the lowest.
James Burgess. Pat Mahomes has 2 Super Bowls. Again, running QBs. He runs, right?
I'm not saying a Michael Vick running quarterback where he's always running.
I don't want a Lamar Jackson. I do want a quarterback that is more mobile, where if he gets pressured, he can get out of that pocket, he can get upfield. Kind of similar to Jalen Hurts.
Goff's extension rate, the amount of money he'll get extended for, just dropped by $15 million after these 2 weeks.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
My friend, who was your second cold call? You said, was it Adrian Hutchinson?
Aiden Hutchinson.
It was Hutch because he's not getting the sacks. He's getting the pressure in there. He's getting them out of the pocket, but he just doesn't have that help on the other side where he can just shut that play down. Because he gets over there. I still
put that more on Glenn than Hutch, but that's okay.
Yeah, but for right now, he's not getting the production. I wouldn't even necessarily put it on Hutch himself. I'd put it on the opposite side of the defensive line because Hutch is getting back there. He's getting to the QB. He's pushing the QB out of pocket, but he's getting held, and he doesn't have that help to chase the QB back. If that QB came back towards Hutch, got pressed in that way, Hutch is getting the sack 8 times out of 10. Right. Dude led all rookie defensive ends in sacks last year.
Yeah.
He did phenomenal when he had the help on the other side of the defensive line. So I'm not even necessarily going to put it on Hutch. I would like to see more out of him, and I know he's capable of more. I'm so sick and tired because now I've been seeing the Hutch is a bust.
If Goff wanted to get paid less than he's getting paid for next season at $35 million, the extension would have been done. They've already talked to him twice. And if you look at the percentage breakdown, how many Super Bowl quarterbacks since Kurt Warner hasn't been on a rookie contract or Tom Brady on a less than market value? You want to know how many? 1. Jonathan Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
And Hooker wasn't a running QB. He was a QB that could run. The only time he run is when the pocket would break down or no one was open.
Yep. Here's my thing. I say if Goff takes a pay cut, a significant pay cut to continue building the team around him, if he were to pull it, that's what a lot of these quarterbacks don't realize. They're so blinded by getting that paycheck. You won a Super Bowl, you're gonna get that pay raise if you win the Super Bowl, because I believe the team that wins the Super Bowl gets an increase in their salary cap for the next year.
No, what it is that if you're a playoff team,
yes,
your owner is able to use 20% of his profits as cap room. It's the cash over cap.
Okay, so
that's the rule.
So here's the thing: you take a pay cut for 1 year. You get to the playoffs, you get to the deep playoffs, you get to the conference championship, you get to the Super Bowl, whatever. You take a pay cut, restructure the contract the following year, keep the players that you have there, you get a little bit more in your pocket, and it would be so much easier to build a better team. We could have chased Jalen Ramsey in the offseason. We went and got Sutton and Mosley, Gardner Johnson, which are all lockdown cornerbacks and secondary players. I actually had Sutton and Jacobs as cold players this week. I didn't see the production. Sutton played okay, but Sutton didn't play like I've seen Sutton play in the past. Neither did Jacobs.
But he also went from another team that blitzes very heavy.
Which one? Sutton?
Sutton came from a team that blitzes very heavy. Right. So look at the games where he looked great and look at the games where he looked bad and tell me what the difference is.
The
blitz rate.
Because you make those quarterbacks uncomfortable and they're going to panic, they're going to throw it, and that's going to open that up for that secondary player to catch that errant throw. Look at what happened to Rodgers. Week 18 of the 2022 regular season, the very final play for Aaron Rodgers as a Green Bay Packer. Aiden Hutchinson.
It was a completion to Kirby Joseph.
It was Aiden Hutchinson, pressure on Rodgers, making Rodgers uncomfortable. Rodgers just lobbed the ball, said, fuck it. Randall Cobb is down there somewhere. Kirby Joseph was also down there somewhere.
Hey, don't you wish that? Hey, look, even Jack Campbell here is saying it. Just don't take me off the field. I wish AG would stop putting me at DN. I'm a linebacker. What did I say earlier? I've said this, but okay. Here's my 5 cold players.
I'm gonna change the position I got this in. I don't care if we lost yesterday. I don't care if we lost yesterday or not. We're still top of the NFC North and the number 3 seed in the NFC. Find me about it. All right, but anyways.
Okay. My cold players was the O-line. 16 pressures allowed, 3 sacks on Jared Goff. That's unacceptable. I could
Yeah.
care less if you played 3 games in 10 days and you were tired. Man up.
Yeah.
Jared Goff was number 2.
Yes.
Number 3, it was the coaching staff. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and Dan Campbell. All 3 of them combined failed to put the game plan in place at the halftime to put us in position to win.
Yeah.
And my 5th one was the entire fucking defense.
Yep. 100%. There's no reason that Christian Watson should have been able to blow passes like he did. We had
7 guys back in coverage because we just rushed the 4. We ran a shell zone where nobody was within 10 yards, and Christian Watson gets hit 35 yards down the field.
I would have ran a man coverage with a strong safety blitz.
I would have loved a man coverage, but AG loves this soft shell zone and just rushing his front 4 against these teams that have okay to good quarterbacks. It doesn't work because what happens? They either beat you underneath or they hit you over the top once you start to cheat up.
Yeah.
And that's what would happen. They hit a couple underneath. They had a run go through and get about 3-4 yards. It was a 3rd and short. What does he do? Boom, right over the top to Christian Watson. Because the safeties cheated up. And having Tracy Walker and Kirby Joseph play zone back there who are not fast against a guy like Christian Watson makes about as much sense as wiping your ass and then taking a shit.
Yeah.
Neither one of them guys are fast. You want to put fast back there? You know what? You should have put Kirby at the nickel, Brian Branch, and Iffy back there. Both of them are faster than either one of those safeties.
Yeah. That defense was atrocious. Like when I was going through and I was making my notes for this and I was going over stat lines and stuff, I got to 2023, week 12. Because each of these I put the week, I put defense, and I put what notable stats they had. For week 12, 2023, I put defense. And then the only thing I could put there was atrocious.
Yeah.
I couldn't put any, we didn't get any sacks. We didn't get any, we got a fumble, I think, didn't we?
No.
Did we get a fumble? We didn't get a fumble. We didn't get any turnovers.
When we had no turnovers. Let me bring that up for you.
I was gonna say I got it right here as well. Yeah.
Fumbles lost 3. They had none. Interceptions thrown, none by either team. That's the only good thing you can say. We were both called penalties 7 times. They had more yards than us. And if you want to know what's worse, this is what's worse. We outgained them by almost 100 yards. 25 first downs, 7 of 15, 1 for 5 on 4th down. They were 17 first downs, 5 of 11, and didn't get their only 4th down play they went for. 54 total plays. The yards per play killed us, 7. We were at 5.9.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to we lost the game, but did we lose the game? We shouldn't have. You know what I mean?
Green Bay did not, and this
they did not beat us.
They didn't beat us. We beat ourselves.
I hate to be that guy, and I'm with you. And usually I'm, we've known each other for what, 2 years now, and
something like that.
Yeah, and our conversations have been, hey, we're on. But I agree with you. We lost the game, but we didn't lose the game.
We beat ourselves.
Yes.
Packers didn't win. We lost. That's the bottom line.
Right. Here's the thing: is the Packers going forward? Their schedule does not get any easier. They've got the Chiefs, December 3rd.
And Ryan Poles, if that's actually you, you should be scared because you may not have a job next year.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Packers have the Chiefs December 3rd. And I pray to God that for Christmas, Santa gives Tony his hands a little bit early, and he goes in and he puts up a couple hundred yards in receiving on Green Bay. I really do.
I hope Santa buys Andy Reid a bucket of Stickum and makes them all get the Clifford Franklin treatment from the replacements. But coach, it just don't look natural. It looks like I jacked up an elephant.
Yep. They've got the Giants. They might end up winning that one. They've got the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Vikings, and the Bears again. So they've got 3 tough games out of their next 6, and they're currently 5-6.
AG can't scheme his way out of a wet paper bag if he was driving an M1 A1 Abrams tank.
That checks out. So even if they won these next 3 games and lost, so if they split their last 6 games and went 3-3, they would end the season 8-9.
Right, just like last year.
We would have to lose. I'm fairly certain the first game they lose going forward that we win, I want to say they'll be eliminated from playoff contention. But I could
The
be
Packers?
Wrong. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I could be wrong.
I think
trying to
that it's a minimum of 9 wins for someone to get in this year.
No, because they can't bar division from getting in. And
I'm talking about division winners. I'm talking about wild card spots.
Yeah.
Division winners don't matter because we have seen back when it was 16 games, a 7-9 team win a division once.
Tom Brady and the Buccaneers won the NFC South last year with an 8-9 record. I want to say
right.
Record.
And then it was a few years ago when the Commanders won the East with a 7-9 record.
But if they lose to the Chiefs, that drops them to 5-7. If they lose to the Vikings, so let's say they lose to the Chiefs, but they manage to win 3 straight. Congrats, y'all are 8-7. Y'all lose to the Vikings. Y'all are now 8-8. You're eliminated. We have to win 3 games, I think. 2 or 3 games. They're out. The Bears, I want to say the next Chicago Bears loss, they're eliminated. I'm pretty sure starting this week is when they start announcing who's eliminated from playoff contention.
Oh, yeah.
Carolina, Arizona, and Chicago
Patriots.
are going to be the first 3 out. I'm talking about the NFC.
Oh, yeah, I know. But if you want to go all the way around, you add in the Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first 4 teams out of the playoffs, period.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, thank you for allowing me to be in here. Please forgive me for cutting in.
No.
Sent me the link, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to watch you. And I didn't know I was going to be on here. But I got to go, man. Y'all be good. Detroit Lions all the way.
Yes, sir.
You can find me on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to look for it.
My show is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. You'll see this ugly mug there. I got a face for radio, but I do video anyways.
Nice. All right, guys. Thank you for letting me join. Y'all be good. I see y'all as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
See you on the future. Bye.
Giants are another one in the NFC that's going to be out.
As are the Commanders. So the Bears, Commanders, Giants, Panthers, more than likely the Bucks and Cardinals will be the first ones eliminated from the NFC. AFC, you have the Jets, the Patriots. The entire AFC North is up for grabs right now. They're so freaking close with each other. It's not even funny. They might as well be having a little circle jerk over there. The Colts and the Titans, I think, would be the first 2 eliminated from the South. I think the AFC South is either going to go to Jacksonville, or as crazy as it sounds to say, Houston.
I think Houston has a shot to upset Jacksonville.
I want CJ Stroud to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. As much as I hate to say it, he's earned it.
He's already earned it.
Yeah. And then AFC West, the only one who really has any kind of lead, for once, the entire AFC West is just mediocrity. The entire.
If the Kansas City Chiefs receivers could catch, they'd be running away right now.
Mm-hmm. But they can't catch.
Because they lost to the Broncos in the same fashion they lost to us. There was 9 drops in that game by receivers. Mm-hmm. They lead the league in drops now.
I saw
after that game the other night. During the game, prior to the game, it was 29. They had 7 more in that game. So they lead the league with 26 drops. As bad as we complained about Marvin Jones Jr. and J-Mo and Josh Reynolds having a drop and Raymond having a drop, we're under 20 drops right now. We are towards the top of the league in drops passes.
So we actually, up until yesterday, I don't know how many drops we had yesterday, but up until yesterday, we were tied with Dallas for drops. We had 3 yesterday? Okay. I don't know if Dallas had any.
I don't think Dallas had any. I think Tony Pollard finally broke out, if I remember right, yesterday.
So, that being said, I hate the fact that they drafted Noah Sewell. I would have loved to have Noah Sewell in Detroit.
Oh, Noah Sewell You talking about Bears?
Yeah, I'm looking at their draft. I would love for us to have for us to pick up Noah Sewell and
I wanted us to pick up Jack Sanborn as a UDFA the year before. Look how he's doing for him this year.
I would also like to see Equanimous come to the Lions. There's just something. I feel like if we're not going to get that same production if we brought Noah Sewell. We're not going to get that same brotherly rivalry from Noah Sewell and Panay that we would get from the St. Brown brothers.
Oh, you'll never get that type of rivalry because Noah isn't on the same level that Panay is.
No,
talent-wise.
Panay is a fucking stud. But
did any of those sacks come from Panay's side, or was it when Rashad Gary went to the other side and caught?
I think it was when Rashad Gary went to the other side because Panay has like one of the best.
Yeah, he has like 0 sacks this year.
League. Yeah, dude's a monster.
But at the same time, for his position, he's like third in holding penalties.
Yeah, now he is. He did good his first couple of years. He got a little careless, but he's cleaned it up.
And I think it messed with his progression when they switched him to left tackle while Deckard was hurt and then switched him back. Because those were the games where he had a lot of holding penalties in that transition period from the 2 games there to the 2 games back. Because after that, he really hasn't been getting called as much. And I call it out when it happens because I sit there and said, wait, our holding penalties hasn't been that bad this year. And the guy leading it, if he has 2 more, he has more than the rest of the O-line combined. And that was after that 4-game period. It'll be Panay Sewell. If he gets 2 more penalties, he would have had more than the whole O-line had combined at that point in the season.
And I'm gonna give Marvin Jones Jr. the benefit of the doubt for his drops because I saw when he left and I saw his Family Matters, and then I don't know how valid or how credible the sources were.
Hey, he didn't have another child pass. I do know that for a fact.
I heard he was like there was the scare that he was going to have another child pass.
No, it wasn't even that. I just know there's something going on in the family, and whatever it is, when your family life ain't right, your work life ain't right. It doesn't matter what job you do. So kudos to him. I pray that gets sorted out. And please, for the love of God, Marvin Jones Jr., turn in your retirement paperwork so the dead cap goes away.
Yeah, and that's my thing is he clearly had something going on because we know the level of production that he's capable of. We saw him here.
It's something that's been going on since last year because his production dipped dramatically last year with Jacksonville too.
Yeah. And here's where my issue kicks in with the people saying, oh, well, this is the same old Lions. They're not going to produce like they have been. Here's the thing. As far as I can recall, we didn't get rid of any key players on our defensive side of the ball except for Oruwariye. We got rid of his ass because the first time around with Minnesota, he had 6 illegal contact penalties. 6 in one game on key plays that kept giving Minnesota first downs.
Yeah, and he literally caused 3 touchdowns to happen doing it because 3 of them were on 3rd downs.
Yep. So we got rid of him. I don't think we got rid of anybody else that was key on defense. We moved Rodrigo to fullback because we weren't using him at linebacker because we had Jack Campbell, Anzalone, and then back there. We beefed up our secondary with Gardner Johnson and Sutton. I'm not going to say Mosley because Mosley came back for 1 game and then tore his ACL in that game.
Yeah. Hey, Mosley was about as effective for us as Aaron Rodgers was for the Jets.
Exactly. Come on,
that's kind of funny. That's a kind of funny statement.
And my thing is I don't want to sit there and like laugh at that because I've had a sports season and career ended by an ACL injury. With that being said, I would like, because I know what kind of production Emmanuel Mosley is capable of. He is a very, very solid defensive back when he's healthy.
That's the problem, though.
Once you tear an ACL, man, it is hard to keep that health. I tore my ACL 10 years ago, and I still have issues with it. I think CJ Gardner Johnson will come back in 2 weeks when we go back to Chicago. I think Gardner Johnson will come in, and I think he will close up the season making a statement for us. That's what I want to see.
I pray that happens. I don't expect it because he made that bonehead play that cost a touchdown, which is essentially changed the Seattle game too.
Yeah, but I want to see him come back and make a statement and see him get an extension. If he earns that extension, Mosley, dude's season is washed. There's no him coming back.
Yeah, I mean, and if they do coming back, it'll be one of those vet minimum 1 year prove it deals.
Yep, you're
And,
in or you're out.
And there's a guy that we could do that with right now that was just cut by the Eagles, who is a pressure guy, who could be rotational.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Who's better than Bruce Irvin would be, because Bruce Irvin's 36. We don't know how much he'll have in the tank. It's Derek Barnett. He was just waived. You could pick him up for peanuts throughout the rest of the season.
And that's, I've seen a few, and I agree that we probably should have picked up Max Crosby. Because Max Crosby wanted to come.
Max Crosby was never on the trade block is the problem.
I know, but he wants to be in Detroit. He wanted to.
Oh, yeah. But next year, his dead cap clears up where that move could happen.
Yes. And I
where
want
we
to
could trade where we could trade 2025 picks to get them.
Yep.
And 2026 picks. Because remember, you can trade up to 2 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So if it takes you a first and a third and you mix it up, whether it's a first from 2025 or 2026 and a third from 2025 or the other way around, whatever it is, if you can mix it up, do it. Because I could care less if I got to go to Green Bay for the first day of the draft. So give a 2025 first pick.
Yep.
I won't go to Green Bay. I won't go to Green Bay. And I'm a member of the media. I write for the Motor City Tribune, which is owned by the South Florida Tribune. I am in the process of getting my press credentials so I can go to home games, but I'm on the list, and there's a lot of long-toothed press credentialed people ahead of me. So One of them has to say, I'm not coming, and they say, okay, they'll send me an email saying, you're in this week. Fantastic. I'll go. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Because you get a parking pass. You get free food in the press box. You get to go to the coaching session afterwards to ask questions if you're in the press box.
So on that note, with our defensive adjustments and improvements, because that's kind of where we've come to with this. Defensive line pressures. We're getting the pressure there. We're one of the best, or we're one of the highest pressuring teams in the league.
But it's all coming from one guy.
Yep. And
this is where I hate AG, because we have 170 some odd pressures, and over 130 of them come from one guy.
Yep.
And that's inexcusable when they say that the talent level is better than we had last year on the line.
So why are we not getting that there?
So why are they not getting the pressure? And the number one thing is when Burrito Jones is in there, the whole D-line collapses. They have some flashy plays one-on-one here and there, but he is not as good as a starter as Isaiah Buggs.
Oh,
when Buggs is in, our pressure rate triples.
Yeah. So the defensive line pressures.
Here's the other thing. The only other game where he was sat out and we had pressure, guess who played in that game? And it was only 10 snaps, but they were very key snaps. Actually, it was 11. I'm sorry, I misquoted. It was Broderick Martin.
Yep.
He had a tackle for loss. That was his only play. And that was in the run game. He pulled down Josh Jacobs from behind. And then he freed up Tracy Walker for his sack, Alex Anzalone for his sack, and took on a double team so Aleem McNeil got there. So the fact that he's not on the field and you let Burrito Jones, who has one play every 150 snaps that is good, is abysmal.
Yeah. So that's one of the keys that I see is we need to clean up our pressures and utilize that pressure into closing out plays with sacks or forced incompletions or fumbles, something in there. Force an errant throw that leads to a pick. Something.
I mean, you can't have Dan Campbell come out and say, oh, yeah, we loved what we saw from Martin, and then sit him every week.
Yep.
I think that's Horseshit.
I think, honestly, they'd probably be doing the same thing with Gibbs that they'd been doing at the start of the year had Montgomery not got hurt. Montgomery getting hurt, and don't get me wrong, I love Montgomery as a player. That 75-yard run against the Chargers where he made
that was amazing.
I love that kind of play style, but him getting injured for a game or two and giving Jahmyr Gibbs the opportunity to come and produce.
It's what broke him out. It was the best thing. Do you know what it made him develop? The one thing Austin Eckler pointed out the first 4 weeks on why he wasn't getting through on the inside rounds. It made him develop that twitch just before he hit the hole.
Yep.
Maybe they're keeping Martin as a secret weapon for the playoffs. That makes a lot of sense if you get to the playoffs.
Yeah, we have.
But at this point, if we don't start getting pressures and sacks from the other side of the line to make it so Hutch gets freed up, guess what? We might not make the playoffs.
If anything, we have a wild spot.
Right.
Or wild card spot secured. At best, we have, or at worst, we have a wild card spot. That's great. I don't want a wild card spot. I want a home division title.
Wild card with a division title with a home game.
That's what I want.
I said prior to the season, as soon as I looked at the schedule, I said the floor for this team is 10 wins.
Mm-hmm. We're two away.
The ceiling was 13.
Yep.
And everybody says, why do you got like a 4-game margin there? I said, well, it's technically a 3-game margin. There's only 2 games in between, but it's still 4 games that I think they could reach. And it's because we're going to have those games where a team comes out flat. We've already had it twice.
Yep.
We had it in the Green Bay game because we were tired, and the Baltimore game.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what that was. It looked like they ran the exact same plays that they ran the week before in Tampa Bay on offense and defense verbatim.
One of the other points that I had for defensive adjustments and improvements is Gardner Johnson returning in 2 weeks. He's been teasing the hell out of his return. Soon, keep your eyes open. Just keep watching. All this other stuff. It was announced in an article that he wants to be back by the next time we play Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, I know how this Detroit Lions coaching staff works. They will not run a player back out right after coming off IR. They don't like doing that because that's the fastest way to re-injure a player. They're going to want to get him in, get him rested up, get him reacclimated to the pace of the sport, and then put him in. So if they did that, I don't see him playing until the Vikings. Honestly, that's another 2 weeks after the Bears. So that's 4 weeks out. So we would have to sit here and handle the Saints, the Bears, and the Broncos, and then hope to get Gardner Johnson back by week 16.
Mm-hmm.
If our coaches follow pattern. So there's that. James Houston, they're talking about getting him back mid-December. Dan Campbell's talking about him returning mid-December. So I have a feeling, he's there. He's getting acclimated under the radar. He's somewhat training with the team, getting back into condition. That's what I'm hoping.
James Urge's defense, our pressures all go one way, and a lot of them allow a quarterback scrambles for plus yardage.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a yes and a no thing this year. Because up until Justin Fields, there wasn't a single quarterback that rushed for more than 50 yards this season. And there won't be since.
Yep. We have Justin Fields one more time, and he might be the one to do it again.
Right.
That being said,
I don't think there's a mobile quarterback that's going to get that many yards because none of them are as fast. Because if you look, Lamar does not run as fast as he used to.
Nope.
He's had too many knee injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also running smarter. He's not running to contact. He's running from contact. He's running more like Russell Wilson used to.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that the commentators pointed out during their game with the Ravens. Secondary help is another big one, and that's going to come in the form of Gardner Johnson coming back. Gardner Johnson comes back. That's going to be a big help to the secondary. Closing up those passes, also in the form of secondary help, the pressures on the QB from both sides. Keep them in the pocket, but put the pressure on their throats where they make errant throws. to where they don't have a choice but to just lob it down the field and hope that there's a receiver not in blue at the opposite end of that ball. So
that being said, I still see us winning 3 to 4 games coming up.
mm-hmm.
I'm going to say a minimum of 3.
Mm-hmm. I got us winning I got us winning Saints, Bears, Broncos, and splitting with the Vikings.
I just don't know why. I don't think US Bank Stadium works out for us. You want to know why? We haven't done it yet with Dan Campbell.
That's true.
That is the one place out of everywhere in the NFC North we have not yet won a game.
In Minnesota?
In Minnesota.
That checks out.
And we also have not won at Dallas yet.
So that Dallas game, and I don't.
And that could mean the difference between Philly getting the 1 seed
Is if we
in that
show up
division.
December 30th.
If we show up and beat the Cowboys, Philly's getting in. If we don't show up, let's say we got the division sewed up because we beat Minnesota, and
at
we
Minnesota.
don't at Minnesota,
And we don't play our starters.
and we don't have to play our starters, and we just let them get housed and let us look like the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
I don't
Because
either.
we got the division sewed up. I don't care about playing for seeding anymore. Because if you got the division sewed up, you get a home game in the playoffs, and that's all that matters to me.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see us go to the conference championship. However, the current standing for the NFC, as it currently sits, Philly 1 seed, San Francisco 2 seed. We're 3 seed, Saints are 4 seed.
Right.
Then you got Dallas, Minnesota, Seattle. That being said, as it sits, we're playing who? Minnesota?
Let's see, because
It's 2 to 7, 3 to 5, or 3 to 6, 4 to 5, right?
Yep.
So we have Minnesota
At home.
at home. Minnesota has struggled against us at home the last 2 years. We have split evenly with Minnesota.
We have the edge. We have the edge
2022.
with Packers, and we have the edge with the Bears right now.
Right. If we can sweep the Bears and get 1 up on Minnesota, the thing is I think Minnesota is currently undefeated in the division. So we'd have to sweep the Bears.
We have to make it so that they can't catch us in week 18. That's all that matters. You say what you want. And I don't think the Vikings will sweep us this year either. And if it means the difference in the division, all bets are off in week 18.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to say right now. If that means the division, that game at home, you watch. The villains will fill that stadium and make it so there's hardly a purple jersey in the stand.
We've shown that we can do it too with away stadiums. We did it with Lambeau. I remember watching week 1, and you could hear Patrick Mahomes coming onto the field getting booed
and
through
he goes,
the TV.
And he actually said, because he was mic'd up because they showed it after the game, that's a lot of blue. And Penei Sewell, when he walked out on Ford Field, this is Ford Field. He was just looking around. I mean, it's pretty bad that we took over Lambeau.
I don't think Vikings
took over
I don't
Lambeau.
think Bears beat us in Chicago.
I don't think the Bears will beat us in Chicago, but I'm not going to say they can't after what happened in our house, because we don't know what defense AG is going to throw at them. And that's the only problem I have. Offensively, we did fine that game.
So here's the thing, and this is going to sound crazy to say. I think Green Bay, behind Jordan Love, is better than Minnesota behind Josh Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Minnesota, who currently is without Justin Jefferson. He's not going to return to peak form because he's not 100% healthy. So Justin Jefferson is coming off IR.
We got 3 games before Minnesota, or we got 4? We got 3, right? Saints, Bears, Broncos, right? And then it's Minnesota.
Saints, Bears, Broncos, and then Vikings.
So let's say we win all 3 of those, and the Vikings lose 1, to 2 of those games coming up.
Mm-hmm.
If they just lose 2 of those games, it doesn't matter what the division record is, they can't touch us.
If they lose, so they got the Bears this week.
Yep.
They got the Bears Sunday. I think the Bears. This is going to sound crazy to say, but I think the Bears can pull it off if they don't pull what they pulled with us.
They
However,
can't, you know what? You know what they did? They played Marty Ball. You know what Marty Ball is? You remember Marty Morningwig or hearing about Marty Morningwig with the Lions? Get a big lead and take your foot off the gas and try to coast with a prevent defense and apply no pressure. That is exactly what the Bears did in the second half.
Yep. And it killed them. Now, they've got the Bears. They don't have Kirk Cousins, and it's a primetime game. So I don't think they have Kirk
And
Cousins.
the last time they were in primetime, Josh Dobbs looked like Kirk Cousins.
Yep. Because they had primetime win. What was their last
Denver.
game?
Sunday night game.
Denver, yep. And Denver beat them 21-20. So
that was such a Minnesota Cousins way to lose that I was like, wow, is that a hairless version of Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. So we've got the Bears. The Bears, Eric is 100% right. Chicago can beat Minnesota. Here's the thing, is it's an any given Sunday type of sport.
Anyone can beat anybody.
Arizona beat Dallas. Nobody saw that coming for the longest. Up until Arizona played Carolina, Arizona was dog shit. Absolutely abhorrent, and they managed to beat Dallas. And the excuse I've seen is, "Oh well, we had four of our starting offensive linemen out," and it's like, shut the fuck up with the injury excuses. Every fucking team preaches whenever I'm like, "Oh well, Detroit has a chance because this team has injuries," and they're like, "Oh well, I don't know because that team is it's just next man up, and they've got pretty good players to fill."
Eric Dalton's awful. He goes, "That's powder, Cousins."
Yeah. Oh, they've got the Raiders. The Raiders have looked more promising since firing McDaniel's goofy ass. So they're looking more promising. They've got the Bengals. I don't see them beating them. Or I see them beating the Bengals. I don't see the Bengals losing that. I would be surprised. Bengals are the underdog going
forward.
Going forward. They're going to be the underdog because they don't have Joe Burrow.
I mean, they still have a good defense. They still have a decent run game. They still have all those weapons, but they have dog shit at quarterback now.
That's the big concern. And then they've got us, Green Bay, and us again. And here's where it gets scary. Here's where it gets scary for Minnesota.
This just in, T. Higgins is out this week, not just for this week's game, could be out for the entire season.
T. Higgins from
Bengals.
Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Ooh. So here's where it gets scary for Minnesota going forward, though. So you got a pretty good, easy schedule for the next 3 weeks, right? You got the Bears at home. Then you travel to Vegas, play the Raiders, who are in shambles right now after firing their head coach, and the Bengals, who are in shambles after losing Joe Burrow, potentially T. Higgins. But here's where it gets scary for Minnesota. You have a division rival. Not 1 week in a row, not 2 weeks in a row, but 3 weeks in a row. Division rival games are always the most physically taxing, brutal, haymaker-ass games out there.
I gotta look up something real quick because I got the perfect trade. Somebody said trade Goff and AG for Burrow, and I'm like, no.
I'm tripping on the good shit.
Yeah. I love James. He's hilarious.
But you've got the Lions at home.
Oh, I got it. I got who we send him to.
Who?
We trade AG to the Alliance Memphis of the XFL and bring Mike Singletary in as DC. Hey, it's not a bad trade offer.
Nah. I think that if our defense doesn't step up, this is Aaron Glenn's last year in Detroit.
I've said that. I said, if you look what we invested, we spent $70 million overall in cap on the physical defense that's here. Plus, look at the bums we got rid of and the cap that we took, hits we took in dead cap. It's over $30 million between Michael Brockers, Jeff Okuda, and so on and so forth after injury waivers, right?
Yeah.
That's $100 million in the defense and 56% of our draft capital put into the defense in 3 years' time.
So here's my thing.
And
I think
if you can't make it, so that secondary and that defensive line is better with that much capital invested, there's something wrong.
So here's why I think he managed to hold on to his job last year. This is the sole reason. No.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
As crazy as it sounds, no. We started the season 1-6 with the last place defense in the NFL. We were last in yards per game. We were last in points per game. We were last in pressure, sacks, all that good stuff.
Oh, no, we weren't last in pressures last year.
No, we weren't.
No.
We were last in a lot of stats on defense.
We were 10th in pressures. We were last in sacks.
Okay. Week 9.
Sounds familiar. We're kind of in that same boat this year, right?
Yeah, right. Week 9. Isaiah Buggs calls a defensive player only meeting. Players' feelings were hurt. Players got called out. And I'm technically plagiarizing in the choice of words here because I remember seeing it in an article. But this is what was this happened. This player meeting happened. People were called out for their inability to perform on the field. And that flipped a switch somewhere. And maybe they need to have another players only meeting. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe that's what Kirby Joseph or Jerry Jacobs, I don't remember which one, but got into it with Dre Bly and CJ Gard. They're like, hey, get your head out of your ass, get your coverage, handle your man. Get there. They flip that switch. We turn around, and all we lose to are the Bills and the Panthers, which we shouldn't have lost to the Panthers. But I don't want to.
I'm not even going to put that. I'm not going to put that on AG. I'm not going to put that on Dan Campbell. You know what I'm going to put that on? The equipment manager.
Yeah.
You remember they had slit turf at Carolina, but because it was an outdoor stadium, the equipment manager had all the guys with their grass cleats.
Yep. And they said it was like playing on concrete though, because how hard the grass was.
They said it was actually closer to playing on hockey skates because that slit turf is a bunch of little round balls of AstroTurf made to look like grass. So when you try to get your footing and you got the wrong shit on, you slide like you're on ice skates. You know how
but they said
when they're going fast.
When they hit the ground on tackles and stuff, it felt like you were hitting concrete.
Oh yeah, and that's what
we
were using.
The NFLPA got involved in that. Oh
God.
Braylon, what was Kirby worked up about? I saw the clip of Gardner Johnson trying to calm him down. I remember hearing Dre Bly's name mentioned. I don't remember what
he was. I think. Okay, who was it? Why was Kirby freaking out? That's what we're asking.
Yeah, it was Kirby Joseph freaking out. And I remember them saying like he was freaking out on Dre Bly or something. And Gardner Johnson got involved and like tried to interject.
My God. Eric Dalton, I heard Hipple has to lay down at autograph signing so fans will recognize him. Ooh. Oh, that's awful. Doesn't Eric Hipple have our only
let me see if
playoff
I can
victory?
Find out. Google is a wonderful thing.
I know. I mean, it is okay to get pissed. It is okay to get mad at your coaches. It's okay to get mad at your teammates. You know, if somebody's playing like ass, call them out.
I got into a few fights with teammates in high school for that. They didn't like being called out. And that wasn't just in football. That was in soccer too.
I had a guy that's about 10 years younger than me, and he was just being a whiny little brat at work, right? Where he just sounded like, I was like, he started griping because we work at a tire shop. It's a garage. Things get dirty. The water's dirty in the tank for the lube. Oh, I go, well, there's a sink right there. Go ahead, rinse it out. He goes, well, why don't you do it for me? So I did it. And I rinsed out everything, got it all nice and clean. I put it over there. Okay, here you go, princess. And he didn't take kindly to it. And then he started whining about something else. I said, wow, that should be your nickname, Princess, right?
I worked construction. I laid PVC pipe out on an Air Force base in my hometown.
So you know what I'm talking about. Doing that type of work, stuff gets dirty. And you get that one guy whining about stuff being dirty, right?
Well, we had a dude, we told him to hammer a pipe in. And he was struggling. And he was like, this is hard. And we're like, put your purse down. Just put your back into it.
Exactly.
And he got so butthurt over it. And I'm just like, are you like, listen, like it's not that serious of a thing.
So
You're working in construction. Construction, being a trucker, all this stuff. Like that's that is a very non-verbally filtered workplace.
So now this guy starts to get really upset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he starts griping at me and bitching. And I said, well, now you just went from princess to Karen. Oh, man, that set him off. He was in a mood the rest of the day. And he finally said, you know what? You say one more thing, I'm going to whoop your ass. I said, well, let's get you in the office. We'll shut the door and do this right now so the customers don't hear or see it. Because I ain't scared of you.
Per ESPN, do you want to hear what CJ Gardner-Johnson's estimated return date is?
Mm-hmm.
This may just be because of this is how far along we are. But, and I don't know how IR works, but according to ESPN, he is projected to be released from IR within the next week. So if he's released from IR within the next week, because it may not have been a super serious tear in his pectoral, that gives him 2 weeks to recover, practice, get back to the pace of the game, come in, and play his ass off against Chicago and start putting in that work to earn himself. I think this may not be accurate because it's showing a lot of November 23rd and 24th throughout different teams. But he could come back he could get dropped off IR within the next week. I'm going to keep my eyes open on it. But if he does, he can be back by Chicago or Minnesota or Denver. And that's going to give us much, much needed help on the secondary.
Oh, yeah. That being said, it's getting that time of night. I do still have to work tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I feel that.
No, it's okay. I love rambling on and talking with somebody that's a stats guy because I'm one of those stats guys too, in case you didn't notice the way I talk about stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I loved having you on. On Wednesdays, I do an NFL-based show where I have fans of other teams, including Lions fans, and we go over the 3 biggest NFL news on Wednesday. And then we go through and do the weekly pick'ems, just straight up, no point spread for all the games of the week.
Who we think is going to win each game?
Yep. And I'm not doing bad. I'm somewhere between 65 and 70%, so I got a pretty good record so far this year. I think
I'll have to be back Wednesday.
Okay, so I will send you the link then. I do that at 8:30, so I'll send it out about 8 o'clock. Is that good for you?
That works.
8 o'clock Eastern.
Okay, I'm in Central, so that'd be 7 o'clock my time.
Yeah, 7 o'clock your time. That being said, I do have to give a shout out for my sponsors. And I have to say, the first one is everybody's favorite, FTP. Why? It's not the florist, it's fuck the Packers.
Yep.
And then the other one is my buddy Glossnagron. He is a window tinner up here in Saginaw. He does excellent work, which I will show here shortly. That's his number. Call him, set an appointment. He also does car detailing. He did this Maserati right here, which is pretty amazing. And he also did this Chrysler 300 C-Class. So if you need window tinting done, he was voted the best in the Tri-Cities out of Saginaw. This has been Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. I want to say thank you to your friend Alex who popped in. I want to say thank you to you, Cameron. It was great to have you here. And if you want to follow him, he's that on Instagram, I believe that is.
Yep.
The famed _14.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I'm going to say how I end every show. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to leave the world a better place. Unless you're talking to a rival divisional fan, then talk as much shit and be as nasty as you want. Have a great night, everybody.